Happy October, everybody. Allison here. I'd like to share with you some of my stitching projects and travels. I have been seeing stitching for sure and enjoying it. I've been kind of busy, and so I come home and just want to sit quietly and stitch to catch up on some of my programs or YouTube. Let's see, I have been continuing with my smile pumpkin. I'll share a photo of where I am now. I've finished the white big smiley mouth, and I'm working on, I think, the right sort of swirly eyeball. So I'm looking forward to finishing that. I did finish my lighthouse. I'm not sure I shared the finish with you last time. This is for the Love of Cross Stitch. They send you a smalls attached to the front of the magazine, and I just really enjoyed whipping that up. Nothing too huge, you know? It's fun. And I'll share that during this past week, I had a couple starts. I started this All You Need Is Love and the Beach, and the Hand and Heart 2023 Collector Heart. Got to get going on that. 2023 coming to its last quarter. Alrighty, I bought a couple of fun things. Most recently, today, I got this Loose Feathers Summer by Blackbird Designs. My YouTube subscription of Just Keep Stitching. Stephanie showed this, and I just had to get myself into this. I just think that is gorgeous. I'm not sure who, I don't remember where it came from, but A Dog's Declaration. I did pick this up, and I chose to copy the original 12 pages, and I proceeded to tape and glue them all together, and it came out, because they are printed rather large, it came out to a very large folded piece. I'm gonna enjoy working on that. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a middle start or a top left start, but I have a very large piece of peridot coloring cotton. Peridot. I'm looking forward to working on that. This, I showed you my bag last time, my So Much to Love bag. This came in that. Darling, blessed. And just a few days ago, my Craftways Cross Stitch Christmas book came, and there's some darling things to create. Smalls and obviously a large or bigger. As far as quilting, I was looking to put away some of the stuff that I'm working so hard to clear by my sewing machine over there. And one of those was the bag with my Travel the World fabrics, which I used on the Lucky Star quilt. And I did show, I think in a previous, that I completed that. But one of the larger untouched pieces of fabric was a series of borders, and I chose to get that back out and get some borders attached to the Travel the World quilt. And I'll put a picture of that on my front lawn from just the other day, right here. Let's see, I got so FOMO into Laura Lynn, my friend, showing us how many framed paneled quilts she did. I decided that I needed to do another one. And so here you go, pumpkin kisses and harvest wishes. And so I needed to add on to the side of this panel because it was a skinny mini, and that's why it has those extra stripes. So I'm looking forward to getting that done. I came home from volunteering and got the itch to create my own bowl cozy. This one turned out 15 inches. And I went over to school today where I volunteer, and I had Darlene and Gisele work on their bowl cozies. One, because she's helping two other little girls get through theirs and was running behind, and yesterday asked if, Mrs. Johnson, could I work on mine next time? So, and then Gisele was socializing a lot with her young ladies and other girls around her, so I needed her to catch up. So I went over there today where I volunteer, and we caught up on bowl cozies. That's what's going on there. My block of the months, I am working on my USA. I completed number 13, 14, and 15. That was Kentucky, Oklahoma, and Maryland. Laura Lynn has sent me a box of long-arbed quilts, which I just received minutes ago. And I opened the box. I think I'm going to turn it over to get everything out. Love the scraps. Love, love, love those. Oh, wonderful. This is my strawberry jelly roll rice. And this is going to go to binding and then go directly to Alexi. There's one more to share with you. Oh, love the circlage with the orange threads. Can you see? Beautiful. This is a cotton cuts, which apple spice, which I made extra large. I think the themes of these were donuts. So like bear claw and what have you, and mine was apple spice, I think is what it was. I'll fix it. I'll look this up and share it with you, but gorgeous. I believe I created these on my own. I didn't want it just to be borders, so I created a little something extra for my corners on improv. Alrighty, so my travel journal, let's go into it, is the Huntington Library. And the Huntington Library, I think, is 17 miles away from me, up towards the Pasadena area, in San Marino. And one of the heirs of the Huntington fortune, the four big railroad men that built the railroad to the west, he and his wife, second wife, decided to create a research, historical library, and botanical gardens. I'll take you around some of the gardens. I think there are 13 gardens proper, but beds of various, like we went by a camellia area. I didn't know there were so many camellias. I thought there was pink, fuchsia, and white. But there are so many camellias. It was gorgeous. It's as you're walking through the Japanese garden over to the far west side of it. And then we got kind of pooped out after our fancy pants tea that I treated my mother-in-law to for her birthday, which was yesterday, and it was just beautiful going in the library proper. There's the library and there's what would be, I suppose, their house. And the house holds beautiful Van Dyck's, Reynolds, Gainsborough paintings that were invested in. And then the library has, like, for instance, we saw the Gutenberg Bible. It's from the 1450s in Mainz, Germany. And it was one of the first, of course, machine made. It's on vellum. We saw the Ellesmere Chaucer manuscript of the Canterbury Tales, and it was purchased by the library in 1917. It's from the early 15th century. There are letters from George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, Abe Lincoln, to various, like, to themselves, to their wives, or I know George Washington's was a journal of his battalions. It is the only library in the world with the first 2 quartos of Hamlet's, the first prints from 1603. When I was doing some research on why do they have the first 2 quartos? What's so interesting about that? It's the first, and it's what I guess we theater people call the bad copies. It was the second and third copies were the ones. Third copies were the ones that were the good copies of the scripts. There's a manuscript of Benjamin Franklin's autobiography. I'm sure it's in his writing, but I didn't see that, but they have it. We did see Isaac Newton's Philosophie Naturalis Principale of Mathematics, so his huge math book with his own annotations in the borders. You see his writing. And I didn't see this, but it's in the list of the 7 drafts, the first 7 drafts of Henry David Thoreau's Walden. Awesome. Oh, and then a giant bird book, Audubon's Birds of America. And it's like the size of my island, this book. It's massive and beautiful. And the thing about that is the birds are in actual size. Wonderful. So I did take some video and I did take some pictures of inside the library and tried to be mindful of folks around me. And of course, the European art, where it was their palatial home, is the home of Blue Boy, the Blue Boy, and Pinky. And I have those. They used to be in the same room together, side by side, and now they have Pinky in the entryway with Gainsborough's, and they have Blue Boy up on the center of the end of a huge, like, ballroom. Maybe it would have been used for gathering room, on very dark painted walls, and he just pops. He's so beautiful. In September, I looked it up. Last time we were there in the pre-COVID, they were doing restoration of the Blue Boy. And they were doing the restoration in the room where he would be seen. And it said, please do not ask restorers questions. It was just for us to see. And when they showed in the wall marking what he looked like prior to what he looks like now, the blues are magnificent. Dyes that were used were like from plants or bugs, some stuff of the earth, and there are 4 colors. And I believe, as I read through the sign on the wall, it says what those 4 blues are, and that he made quick slashes, which I never remember seeing that technique used in looking at Blue Boy before. So I hope you enjoy it. So a little bit of art, a little bit of library, and a lot of garden. I hope you enjoy it. Here's my travel stitch journal number. I'll look it up. Enjoy. I always seem to end up having a PS. And as soon as I walked away from the table after unloading the quilts that I shared, I realized that I forgot to share with you what I got at the gift store. So what led me to the gift store was acquiring some of the Huntington Rose Tea, and I got 2 bags of that. I got 1 pouch of lemon ginger hot toddy mix for Mr. Johnson, and 1 summer toddy spiced hibiscus cocktail recipe with spice bags. And while I was waiting in line, I saw this really pretty, granted plastic, but really pretty essential oils rose hand soap, which I picked up for my mother-in-law's birthday, and it got wrapped with beautiful tissue and another one of these bags, and I was able to put in our sweets that were left over from our high tea, and gifted her that. Laura Lynn, also in the box were these darling hardwood carved buttons that are actually from Colorado, but have Canadian maple leaves and moose right there. That's my favorite button. Thank you, Laura Lynn. All right. Well, have a good rest of October. Happy Halloween. Be safe, and don't overdo on those candy corns. Bye. The Huntington Library, Art Museum, and Botanical Gardens is a collections-based research and educational institution founded in 1919 by Henry E. and Arabella Huntington. Henry Huntington was an exceptional businessman who built a financial empire in Southern California. He was also a man of vision with a special interest in rare books, art, and gardens. During his lifetime, he amassed a core of one of the finest research libraries in the world, assembled a spectacular art collection, and established an array of botanical gardens with plants from a geographic range spanning the globe. The Huntington's collection have continued to grow since Henry Huntington's time, serving up a feast for the senses and intellect, linked by a devotion to research, education, and beauty. Henry Edwards Huntington was born in 1850 in Oneonta, New York. In 1872, he went to work for his uncle, Collis P. Huntington, one of the owners of the Central Pacific Railroad. This work led him west to California. In 1903, he purchased the San Marino Ranch and began transforming it into what is now the Huntington Library, Art Museum, and Botanical Gardens. In 1913, Huntington married Arabella Duval Huntington, the widow of Collis, his uncle. She was Henry's age and shared his interests in collecting. As one of the most important art collectors of her generation, she was highly influential in the development of the Huntington's European art collection. Henry E. Huntington died in 1927. Arabella predeceased him by 3 years. Both are buried in the mausoleum on the property. And here's the dreaded corpse flower. I think it bloomed about 2 or 3 months ago. And this corpse flower looks very dead, but the one on the right is the one I believe that bloomed most recently. They're only supposed to bloom, let me look it up. They bloom 2 to 3 days only, once every year or two. Inspired by the gardens of Shushu, Liu Fangyan is inspired by the gardens in Shanghai in southeastern China. During the Ming Dynasty of 1368 to 1644, wealthy scholars and merchants there built tasteful private gardens combining architecture, waterworks, rockeries, plants, and calligraphy. Many of the features in Liu Fangyan are modeled on specific Shizhu gardens, 8 of which are depicted in the wood carvings in the Love for the Lotus Pavilion. I Layan Si. Principles of landscape design formulated the Shizhu in the 16th and 17th century. They deeply informed the Liu Fangyan. Most importantly, the garden has been designed to respect its natural locale. The lake of reflected fragrance shimmers in the same natural basin where water once collected after seasonal rains. The court of assembled worthies is raised above ground level to protect the roots of the native California live oaks. Each step through the garden pathways and pavilions reveals a new view, as if a painted scroll were being unrolled, scene by scene. Carvings of bamboo, pine, and plum blossom adorn the ceilings of the pavilion of the three friends. These three friends of the cold season represent perseverance through the difficult times. Pine is evergreen, bamboo never breaks, and plum tree flowers
Magnolia
in the winter when
stellata.
most plants are dormant.
A ginkgo biloba.
That is definitely a ginkgo tree. That's a pretty view. Rocks are essential features of the Shizhu Gardens. The stones found throughout Liu Fangyan are a type of limestone traditionally harvested from the beds of Lake Tai near Shizhu. Today, they are quarried in various regions of China. For more than 1,200 years, these rocks have been renowned for their strange shape and many holes. Particularly prized individual specimens like the towering stone near the treehouse, patching up the sky, were seen as embodying energy like ethers or qi. Like all Shizhu-style gardens, Liu Fangyan is filled with text. Every pavilion and courtyard bears a name in Chinese characters. The entrances to some buildings are also adorned with poetic couplets. These calligraphic inscriptions were written by more than 30 contemporary artists from mainland China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, the US, and the UK. The names and the couplets that they have inscribed are drawn from classic works of Chinese literature. The pavilions, paths, and rockeries in Liu Fangyan are the product of the years of international collaboration conducted by the Huntington. In the early 2000s, a master plan for the garden was developed by designers from Shizhu. American architects ensured that it would be seismically sound and wheelchair accessible. All the garden's visible building materials, such as the wood, the beams, the roofing tiles, the granite terraces, the paving pebbles, were sourced from China and installed by teams of Shizhu artisans. Beneath their fine handwork like concrete foundations and steel frames created by American construction workers. As we move towards the Japanese garden, so many different species of camellia. Who knew? And they're on both sides. There's a little date that says when they were planted, established there. We're heading into the Japanese garden, where in my program it says, for over a century, the historic Japanese garden has been one of the most beloved and iconic landscapes at the Huntington. With its distinctive moon bridge, picture postcard views of the koi-filled ponds, and the historic Japanese house, one of the most popular spots at the Huntington, the Japanese garden has attracted millions of visitors and remains a site of both fascination and contemplation. I think the most recent thing I remember filmed here is Westworld. This 5-room structure is an example of a display house from the late 19th to early 20th century. It is a very strange structure. The house was created specifically to be a commercial tea house and antique shop. It has certain features of residential architecture, but it is very different from the typical 19th to 20th century Japanese residence. When the house was built in Japan and shipped to California in 1904, it was a modern, fashionable structure. But this house was built for a commercial tea garden, meaning it was created to sell art objects rather than to serve as a residence where people would live. When it comes to arched bridges in Japanese gardens, it says that they allow for sailing under them easily, but garden bridges used to have symbolic meaning along with the practical one. The bridge symbolizes traveling and transitioning from one state to another. Do a turnabout the roses? That'd be great, because we're going to be going over there. Oklahoma. Look at that hybrid tea. It's giant, this red rose. This one's called Crowd Pleaser. Oh, they even have the year it was 2001, and this was put in 1964. Jiminy Cricket was put in 1954. I wonder if it was put in by a certain person. Walt Disney. City of Belfast. Rose of Tralee was put in 1958. Wow. This was put in 2014. It's called Jump for Joy. Yep. It's a Floribunda. Beautiful. So the Rose Garden at the Huntington was created in 1908 for the private enjoyment of Henry E. and Arabella Huntington. The Rose Garden was primarily designated for display, providing copious amounts of cut blooms for the elaborate arrangements in their house. Today, this 3-acre garden blooms between late March and Thanksgiving, and the ambling paths combined with the sloping hillside created a vista of an unforgettable setting for any event. So as you can see, I'm enjoying taking up-close photos of these gorgeous, gorgeous flowers. And the sign, if I see it, we're not sure why these bulbs are here. Here's the tea room. Here's the entrance. It's changed since we were last there. It's been remodeled. Here's the roses on our table.
Okay, Dorothy Johnson. Cheers. Happy birthday.
Salad, roasted pork loin with the rhubarb remoulade, hothouse cucumber with the dill cream cheese, cured and smoked salmon with the trout roe. This is egg salad in a phyllo dough cup, and then our lobster salad in a phyllo dough cup for the Huntington tea. This is our vegan carrot and curry sandwich. The rest are desserts. So I have butter cake with buttercream frosting and chocolate ganache, banana jam, dulce de leche and toffee in a tart shell, seasonal berry tarts with vanilla custard, ginger cake with cream cheese frosting and poached apple, and then our Huntington signature bonbons.
Oh my goodness.
Folks ready for a really great pick?
A predominant feature in the rose garden is La Mure Captive de la Eunice. With its theme of love and romance, it complements the surroundings well. It's a sculpture from the Provence. It still remains rather a mystery. Curators determined that the piece is likely modeled after a smaller porcelain designed by Simon Louis Bozet, an artistic director of the Ségur porcelain factory from the 18th century outside of Paris.
A tiger lily azalea. Very pretty. Indian summer. A love story. And this one. That's the one. This rose bush is in. These two. Okay. Oh, yes. Gosh, they're beautiful. Look at that, how lacy. Just a delicate yellow rose, like not a giant. Oh, gorgeous. Wow. And they are Sparkle and Shine, and they were put in 2013. Sparkle and Shine. Yeah, same. Gorgeous.
And looking at my interactive map, I see that this is the Huntington 100th anniversary rose, planted in the
Okay.
earlier 2000s. Okay, here we go. There's Greater Pasadena and Alhambra and Los Angeles out there. We are walking towards the front patio of the home.
I think he's grown over his sign. I can't see anything. That's pretty. Ooh, oh my goodness. That is quite something.
And of course, here are magnificent hibiscus. Goodness. Wouldn't it be lovely to have a shindig out on this terrace? Speakers, dancers, exhibits.
I think that's all the jungle area down there. It's all those ferns. So we'll have to go there maybe, give it a walk. If you are up for it.
I'm up for anything.
Okay. These are happy trees. I think they're elm. I think the entrance is on the other side.
And for that outdoor terrace event, Plan B, if we ever had rain, you could take it over here to this lovely covered terrace.
He's from Rome.
I bet that was pretty when the water was running.
Oh, yes. Gorgeous.
This appears to be the library or family room. These are Flemish cartoon tapestries. So many treasures. Gorgeous.
I'm sure nothing has changed in here, but I just don't remember it.
Yeah, this room, I don't remember coming in here. Look at the draperies. Goodness. Pretty fireplace.
Entering, we are greeted with portraits of Henry and Arabella.
My goodness. And then on this side, wow.
This is Josh Reynolds' painting of Samuel Johnson, a gift of the Rothschilds, no less. Poet, essayist, philosopher, lexicographer Samuel Johnson, best known for his Dictionary of the English Language.
James Watt from 1850. Very handsome. James Watt. Richard Cumberland, a playwright. Shown in thought, deep thought, holding a pen and paper. Ah, David Garrick. Very good. Nice. Oh my goodness. Elizabeth Lee. The same name as our eldest daughter. This one is by George Romney, circa 1767 to 8, oil on canvas. This half-length portrait of a woman in yellow dress and black lace kerchief replicates the image of Elizabeth Lee, who appeared in a portrait of her family, which Romney exhibited to acclaim at the Free Society of Artists in 1768, now the National Gallery of Victoria, Australia. While the tilt of her head and the sideways glance are the same as in the group portrait, the artist has elaborated her costume by adding the pale blue ribbons and the sheer lace collar. Oh, pretty.
Now that's familiar.
It's so pretty. It's Jane Olnett by Thomas Lawrence. It's circa 1825. Wow. He became the most sought-after portraits in the 19th century. Yeah. And again, Hudson. Under one arm, he's tucked into his vest, Schomburg's. Very nice. That is an interesting wig. Wow. So foofy on the side. Very handsome jacket. Do you think she just read a love note? Margaret Cox. Yeah. She's reading a letter from her older sister, Mary, the subject of the miniature portrait resting in Margaret's lap. This is who wrote her the letter.
I didn't notice that.
No, this painting documents two of the principal means by which friendships were sustained in the 18th century. The exchange of letters helped people keep abreast of each other's lives, while portraitures provided vital surrogates for missing friends and family. So there she is. And she probably read a letter from her. Very good. I'm glad I read that. Very nice. Mrs. Ralph Willett, again, George Romney. Beautiful. Isabella Marchioness of Hartford by John Hopner. Beautiful. Love the flowers at her breast.
Love that.
So a pair of tapestry-covered armchairs that are over there from 1760, a mantel clock, 1780, a mantel clock with a miniature portrait. I don't know. Yeah, it's that one. I don't know where this one is. Oh, it's over there. This clock. And then marble bust of Sabine Hoden, 19th and 20th century. That's beautiful. Miss Susanna Lee Acton, another George. He was enjoying collecting George Romneys, that's for sure. Pretty, pretty. for George Romy. And that is Lady Hamilton. Lady Hamilton is very dramatic.
If there's a clock I don't have.
Yeah, oh, there you go. I like the cherub. Wow, here's a dining room. Francis Wheatley, Arwen Stanley Wood, and his son. Very nice. I love that chandelier. It's fantastic. Sparkling greens. Francis Wheatley. So these are more Francis Wheatley paintings, not George Romy like we were in the other room. Miss Sarah Hoadley, William Hogarth. Gosh, this is 1697 to 1764. Beautiful. That's an old painting. So in Gainsborough. Does the spaniel want a treat, I would say?
She's got a little dog staring at her.
Yes, she does. And that silver tray is beautiful.
She must have a cookie.
Or he wishes she had one. Viscountess. Very nice. Can see him with This is Georgiana Cavendish, Duchess of Devonshire, by Josh Reynolds, 1775 and 6. The Duchess of Devonshire appears exceedingly dignified and reserved, qualities that her mother, who commissioned the painting, would have appreciated. In reality, Georgiana was renowned for her spirited personality and informal manners, creating a sensation with her carefully casual manner of dressing. A sculpture of Handel by Rubelik. This painted plaster bust of the great German composer shows Handel relaxed and dressed in a casual attire, his soft cap jauntily leaning to one side and his house coat disheveled and partly unbuttoned, as he might have appeared to his friends at home in his study. Handel studied in London in 1712, where he composed famous works as his Water Music and Messiah. come here. That's exactly what they say. Contemporary audiences would have recognized Jane's outstretched hand and arm as a conventional theater gesture that actors assumed when about to speak. Reynolds, also the artist, refers to contemporary fashion depicting Jane's hair ornamented by the ostrich feathers that the Duchess of Devonshire had recently made popular. Okay, so this is the Countess of Crosby, and this is her reference. She's not red. Yes, she does. Oh, interesting. Let's go see what they say. Reynolds, 1777, Lady Crosby's mirthful expression, windswept trundles, and spontaneous sense of motion convey an air of charming informality. Her casual elegance reflects a general trend toward naturalism. Get back a little bit. My camera's getting all the splash of light. I'm going to go over to the card on the wall and read what they say. The Blue Boy by Thomas Gainsborough, 1770. The Blue Boy was Gainsborough's first attempt at depicting full-length Van Dyck dress, knee breeches and slash doublet with a lace collar. The type of costume recalled the work of Anthony Van Dyck, the Flemish painter, whose glamorous portraits of aristocrats had revolutionized British art decades earlier. When the painting was shown in 1770 at the Royal Academy, the nod to Van Dyck drew comparison between the two artists and helped create the name for Gainsborough among the exhibition's London audience. In 2018 through 19, technical study and conservation treatment of the painting provided many details about Gainsborough's brushwork, pigments, and methods. A digital X-ray revealed its underlayers more clearly than ever before. At top center, a man's head is visible, a remainder of an abandoned portrait that indicates that the artist reused a canvas. At lower right, a dog was once part of Blue Boy's composition, has been painted over, focusing more attention on the figure. Such details suggest that Gainsborough began Blue Boy on his own initiative and reworked it for maximum effect. Other analysis shed light on Gainsborough's pigments, and the removal of overpaint and cloudy varnish exposed the sheer mastery of his brushwork. To catch the eye, the shimmering blue satin of the clothing is rendered in a spectrum of colors, containing ultramarine, smalt, Prussian blue, and possibly azurite. These subtle shades were applied in extremely complex layers of vigorous slashes and fine strokes. Technical details such as these have added to our understanding the painting as Gainsborough's showpiece. That was awesome to see him again. Happy birthday, Dorothy Johnson. Next is Elizabeth Beaufoy, Thomas Gainsborough, 1780, oil on canvas. The celebrated beauty, Elizabeth Beaufoy, wears the stiffly coiffed high-dressed hair, then in fashion, ornamented with a strand of pearls. Gainsborough intended this painting to be enjoyed both up close and at a distance. Viewed at close range, the animated unbleached brushstrokes create an illusion of flickering movement. At a distance, the eye instinctively blends the roughly applied pigments into an overall unity. This portrait of Rose Mills by George Romney was painted on the occasion of Rose Gardner's marriage to Jeremiah Miles, whose portrait hangs nearby. Romney adopts elements of classical art for his portrait, from the subject's pose, in which she rests one elbow on a pillar, to the loose arrangement of her hair and restrained positioning of her hands. This was one of my favorites today. This is a portrait of Sarah Siddons as a Tragic Muse by Josh Reynolds, 1783-84, oil on canvas. Legendary actress Sarah Siddons had recently taken London by storm, performing in a string of heartbreaking tragic roles when she posed for Reynolds. He paints her as an austere icon of tragedy, seemingly enthroned for all eternity. The figures behind her personify two of the elements of tragedy. To her left, holding a poison chalice, is the figure of terror, whose grimacing face is molded on Reynolds' own features, studied in the mirror. To her right, clutching a dagger, is a figure of pity. Reynolds' muted color scheme enhances the drama, while the spotlight on the star allows the supporting players to fade into the shadows. Terror, pity. Penelope Lee Acton by Romney. Then we see Mary, Lady Beauchamp Proctor. In the gallery, opposite wall of the Blue Boy, is this portrait of a gentleman by Kind Wiley, 2021, and it's oil on linen. Kind Wiley, A Portrait of a Young Gentleman, is based on Thomas Gainsborough's painting of the same name, first exhibited in 1770 and now known as the Blue Boy. Like the other paintings in the room, Blue Boy follows a tradition of portraiture often referred to as grand manner, whose stylistic formula was designed to announce the wealth and status of those who are portrayed. Wiley often uses the conventions of grand manner portraiture in his own work, painting black and brown models in the same poses struck by sitters in historical painting. By using a portrait format associated with privilege, Wiley glorifies those who are marginalized and who have historically been subjugated. His paintings ask us to reconsider how representation reflects power. A few more beautiful sights as we end our visit to the European art. This was just the last beautiful, gosh, look at the light piece. As we make our way out, I see through the staircase windows. That's a famous film site of, I think, The Wedding Planner. J-Lo broke off a certain part of a statue on that lawn. Making our way down the stairs. Yep. I bet there's a few weddings that have gone on out there in that yard for sure. Beautiful. Look at those beautiful brass like carpet holder downers.
Yeah.
Neat. and allow me to wrap up our beautiful day with a few quick photos of our visit to a few of the 13 gardens that we had time on our feet. And then, of course, the exit, which includes this beautiful, beautiful lily garden. And a few photos of what we saw in the library, the historical documents that are just jaw-dropping. And then, of course, my favorite, the first folio of Shakespeare, and the bird's eye view of Los Angeles area. You can see all the way to the ocean, and there's just a few. There's Shakespeare. Here we go, bird's eye view of Los Angeles back in the day. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you next month in November. I'm sure I'll have some travel stitch journal to share with you. Take care all. Bye-bye.